Armada Kickoff is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, Community First Credit Union, Winn-Dixie, Baptist Health, and Bowden Eye and Associates.
Hello and welcome into Armada Kickoff. What a next 6 days for the Armada. The spring season finale against in-state rival Tampa Bay, then the U.S. Open Cup against another in-state rival Orlando City, and it seems that the club is just beginning to hit its stride as we arrive in June. Coming up, some perspective on the recent success, plus we'll have Mauricio Ruiz in the Armada boot room to show us how the Armada defense is transitioning into the attack. And David Hayes and Mauricio will discuss the importance of Wednesday's matchup in the U.S. Open Cup against Orlando City, plus the men's national team's performance in Copa America. But let's start with Saturday's match in Carolina. The Armada had not turned in a shutout all year and were the last NASL team not to post a clean sheet. But in Carolina, the boys were determined to show a potent Railhawks attack just what they could do.
The Armada on the road, but not alone, had some support. Section 904 making the trip up to Cary. Early stages, Keita making a run and a shot from just outside of the box, and Akira Fitzgerald with one of what would be many saves for the Carolina goalkeeper. His opposite number, Miguel Gallardo, also had his moments, slapping away an attempt here in the early stages. Look at Gallardo. Great reflex save here just to slap it away and keep it as a 0-0 contest. But Akira Fitzgerald was very good. Look at this on a free kick from Junior Sandoval. This one was bound for the net, but Fitzgerald diving for the save. Second half now, Armada on the move. Danny Barrow finding some space. He was very active. Keita centers it, tried to get it to Jamal Johnson, but the Carolina defense able to send it away. A few minutes later in the second half, Sandoval from distance, and again, Fitzgerald with the save. Late in the contest, a couple of scary moments here. This one kind of trickles right through, but Gallardo, quick as a cat to pounce on it. 88th minute, again, here is Carolina trying to make a move. Austin Deleuze will get it near the penalty spot, but again, Gallardo on the spot to make the save. A 0-0 final after an hour and a half lightning delay in Carolina.
It was a great point to come on the road over here and get a point is good. I know we want the 3 points, but hey, like I said before, 1 point's better than 0 points, so happy days.
This is our first shutout, so, and our third positive result in a row, so, it's only positives that we take from this game.
We got to dictate play from this point on. We can't go out and expect, to wait and find a result, but we have to go out the same way we did today, obviously confident in what we can do, and go out and try and win a game at home, obviously. It's our field, it's our pitch, so we have to go out there and control as much of the game as we can, limit chances as much as we can, and hopefully come out with 3 points.
Well, you see the numbers here, a 0-0 contest. First time in quite a while that the Armada have had a 0-0 game. You have to go back all the way to last year. It was the longest stretch in the NASL. They had plenty of chances, 7 shots on target, but only 3 of them were taken from inside the box. Possession favored Carolina, passing favored Carolina, but the result for the Armada was a good one. It knocks Carolina out of contention for the spring season title. 20-year-old Englishman Danny Barrow didn't take long to make himself noticed in the NASL. After just 3 starts, Barrow is no longer a secret weapon for the Armada. His performance on the attack earned him the fans' choice as the Farah and Farah man of the match on Saturday. Barrow played 83 minutes, creating 3 shots for himself. He's still looking for his first NASL goal, but you have to think that is coming soon.
Players that you can switch around, and we're going to be very strong.
We saw a lot of different players, a lot of different lineups.
All right, welcome in the Analyst Roundtable presented by Subway, joined here by Mauricio Ruiz and David Hayes. All right, the Armada have now won 5 points from the last 3 matches. Is this something to build on here, or is this fool's gold?
No, it has to be. I mean, we talked about past couple of weeks that the spring championship has been out of reach. Really, spring relevance has been out of reach. So you have to hang your hat on every game and every opportunity that you have. And in the last 3 opportunities, they got something out of it. So it's something to build on for sure.
I mean, yes, for me, yes and no. I mean, 7 games, we've gotten 3 points. If you add the U.S. Open Cup to 8 games, 6 points out of 24. So, I mean, I think we're starting to get more consistent in the back and around the board. But for me, it's still only 6 points in 24 out of 24.
So what do they need?
I mean, I think, again, they need consistency and they need a little balance. And I think we're starting to get that over the last 3 games. So that is a positive for me to see. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's what we need.
No, I mean, there really has been, we've seen a lot of different lineups.
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't seen a consistency in lineup. And I think lately in the last 3 games, the one thing that's been consistent, without trying to quote myself, is the consistency. You see players playing more consistent roles, more adequate positions where they were. And I think players are starting to combine a little bit more.
Fewer choices, though, from that, because you've got guys who are injured, you've got guys that
you're almost
America.
forced into it a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe a little consistency forced in could pay some positive dividends.
I think so. I mean, I think adding Barrow to the lineup, I think that's added a little bit of things that we haven't had going at people, backing teams up. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think the consistency is what we need, and I think we're getting there.
David Hayes, Mauricio Ruiz, thanks so much. More from you guys coming up here in just a bit. Let's hear now from Tony Meola. The Armada head coach had high expectations in his first year, and after a slow start, the team is starting to come together. This weekend, they have a chance to play spoiler for a Tampa Bay Rowdies club that still has a chance at a spring title. Here's Coach's Corner, presented by Asana Wellness Center, the official training facility of the Jacksonville Armada.
Tampa's in a position where if they win, they can do some good things in the league, but we're really concerned about the Armada and what we can do here. We know that we've built a little bit of momentum towards the end of the season with a couple of results in 2 different competitions, and hopefully we can continue to build on that. We're starting to feel comfortable, and we know the situation we're in, and this is an opportunity for us to move up a little bit.
It's something that you're getting some results, feeling comfortable, and your roster is as thin as it's probably going to be all year long. Any explanation for that?
Yeah, Copa America, you got a couple injuries, and before you know it, you're down to less than 18 on your roster, and that's the position we're in right now. But give the guys credit because they've battled and they continue to battle, and I don't expect anything less, that they will continue to just fight and scrape and claw through this part of the season. And the break comes at a good time for us, where we can get some guys healthy and then look at a couple changes in our roster, and we still have some work to do before we get to that point, though.
Did winning in the U.S. Open Cup and that providing for the Orlando City game to come up, did that give a little energy boost for guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think mentally it did. Physically it was draining. I suppose one of the equalizers was that Carolina also played 120 minutes as well. And in the end, it was just a battle. You saw some sloppy play in the end, and guys just kind of going for it and seeing what happens, and there were opportunities for both teams. But all in all, I was pretty pleased with the performance and the effort for sure. And, we got on the bus, and guys felt good about the point on the road.
All right, speaking of the U.S. Open Cup, the Armada, for the second time this year, will take on Orlando City. Remember, a 2-1 victory for the Armada in the preseason at Community First Park. But Wednesday at JU, 4th round U.S. Open Cup tickets are available right now from $25. One price for the public. Should be a packed house at Southern Oak Stadium for the Armada and Orlando City. It's amazing what a win and a couple of draws can do for a team's psyche. The Armada suddenly have the look of a team ready to explode. And to a man, the players seem to relish the way they took a point on the road Saturday in Carolina.
We were on the bus, we were on the road for 8 hours, and now we played on Wednesday. They did as well, but we hit the road for 8 hours, so it was tough for us. But I mean, thanks to God, we got the result. We got 1 point, and that's all that matters.
3 games now, I think it's a little bit much better. We got just, we just have to keep on going on, because we got a long way to go. So, just the beginning. So we got to give everything, positive.
And now with Tampa Bay and Orlando coming in the next 2 matches, there's a chance for Jacksonville to continue their run against Florida teams. So far this calendar year, the Armada have not lost to any team from the Sunshine State.
It's going to be tough, It's going to be tough to play against the Rowdies and then Orlando, but I mean, I think we're ready. We're working hard. Everybody is committed to work, and hopefully we'll get the results these next 2 matches.
Call it rivalry week if you like. The players will tell you that when the other Florida teams are in town, there's an added edge to those matches.
Yeah, leading into our last spring season game, we need the fans to come out and really support us and give us that extra boost that we need, especially with the in-state rivalry that we got going on Saturday and the following Wednesday with Tampa Bay and Orlando. So, hopefully everybody can come out and get a decent crowd for the past 2 games.
Well, here's what the Armada have coming up in the rest of the spring and the beginning of the fall. Tampa Bay Rowdies on Saturday is Teacher Appreciation Day. After that match, there will be a men's national team watch party as the U.S. takes on Paraguay. A draw and the U.S. is on to the knockout round of Copa America. Then on Wednesday, that is the big matchup against Orlando City at JU. Single match tickets are now on sale for the Rowdies and also for the start of the fall season. Call 844-2-ARMADA or go online to armadafc.com. Coming up, the spring season champion won't be crowned until the final weekend. Plus, Mauricio Ruiz takes a look at how the defensive effort changed the game for the Armada on Saturday. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
To enter for your chance to participate in the Winn-Dixie Bubble Battle, visit your nearest Winn-Dixie in your Armada gear, take a selfie, and post it to any of the Armada social media using the hashtag WinnDixieBB. 2 winners will be selected every Wednesday during a home match week. Assemble a team of 3, and you're ready for battle.
With 1 weekend to play in the spring season, 4 teams still have a chance to win the title and a postseason berth. Let's go around the NASL, presented by Nike.
Let's start in Fort Lauderdale, where the Strikers and Cosmos renewing one of the oldest rivalries in the North American Soccer League. Strikers taking a lead in the 35th minute. Jose Angulo with the goal. 1-0 at that point. Then second half, 74th minute, Jason Mora with what would be the game winner. Strikers beat the Cosmos 2-1, New York's 4th loss in their 5 road games. And it's the first time that the Strikers have beaten the Cosmos in the modern era. Have to go back to 1983, the last time Strikers beat New York. Rayo OKC and Minnesota United. Minnesota United sees their spring season title hopes dashed as Tyler Gibson scores the game's only goal. Rayo OKC a 1-0 victor over Minnesota United. Miami FC hosting Indy 11. A 0-0 draw in this one as Indy remains the NASL's only unbeaten team, but they squandered a golden opportunity to take over sole possession of second place. Tampa Bay Rowdies, Ottawa Fury at Al Lang Stadium in Tampa. Georgi Ristov scoring goals in the first, and then in the second, a 2-1 Rowdies win. They stay alive in the spring season title race.
All right, so here are those standings, and as you look at this, we've separated into games played, goal differential, and points because that's the important thing here. You see that the Cosmos have already played their 10 matches in the spring season. No more matches for the Cosmos, so they're stuck on 18 points. However, Indy 11, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Fort Lauderdale Strikers all have the chance to catch them, but they need to make up goal differential. The Cosmos at +7. Indy's got the best chance at +4. The next tiebreaker would be goals for, total goals scored. So we'll see how it all plays out this weekend, but the Armada can certainly play a role in spoiling Tampa Bay's opportunity. For the rest of the teams on the table, it's all about piling up points in advance of the start of the fall season for that combined number. Now let's head to the Armada Boot Room, presented by Amtech. All right, here on the Armada Boot Room, Mauricio Ruiz. And one of the things you saw on Saturday against Carolina was that the Armada had much better spacing throughout the course of the game.
Good, really. And good defense turns into good offense. And good offense and good spacing turns into positive offense. So what we have here on the heat map, Cole, is really the position of the Armada throughout the game. And we'll point out that this big red area is where your starting goalkeeper is hanging out for most of the game. So as we move forward, you see the spacing in yellow. It's the positioning of the Armada players. So we have a little video to show where good defense turns into good offense. So we'll let the clip go for a little bit. We'll just talk about good recovery runs from the Armada. See Junior Sandoval, number 12 in the middle of the field. Kevon George doing a good job of just clogging up a lot of space. Now Armada gets to retain the ball. They go forward. And you can see how they go out on the break. Players in good areas on the field. We'll stop it here. We'll show Junior Sandoval in the middle. Keita out here. And in a little bit, you're about to see Mr. Denny Barrow popping up on the screen. Players not running towards the ball, but actually opposite. Running away to create space in between. Jamal Johnson does a good job of keeping possession of the ball, just rotate the ball around, and you're going to see where this leads. Continue to see just the movement and the spacing of the players, and really the patience that they're having to maintain the ball. And this is one of many possessions that the Armada actually had. Brian Burke on the right-hand side. So here's what's going to lead into. Little interaction, play just a little bit more. Great interaction with Denny Barrow. So now look at the space that's created. That's Jamal Johnson on the left-hand side. That's Keita up here, Patrick Otter, and then you're going to see where this turns into. Really good interaction. Junior Sandoval on the bottom of your screen, right-hand side, gets a little 1-2, cross in the box. Now, this doesn't lead into a goal-scoring opportunity, but it leads into a really good chance for the Armada to continue to get more possession and get the Carolina team actually defending and tired.
Maybe a benefit of guys playing together a little bit more.
It really has to be. It's just really interaction and kind of chemistry of players. Absolutely.
Mauricio, thanks so much. Straight ahead, we'll hear more from Mauricio and David Hayes on the Analysts Roundtable, and we'll get their thoughts on the U.S. performance in Copa America. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff right after this.
Here's a look at the NASL teams in the U.S. Open Cup. In addition to the Armada and Orlando City, the only other team in the NASL that is hosting an MLS team, Carolina Railhawks, as New England Revolution come to town. The other games include Fort Lauderdale at DC United, a New York battle between the Cosmos and NYCFC. Tampa Bay goes to Columbus, Indy and Chicago Fire, and an intriguing matchup with Minnesota United against Sporting KC. All of these matches are next Wednesday.
All right, back in here on the Analyst Roundtable with David Hayes, Mauricio Ruiz. Guys, how important is Saturday's match against Tampa Bay, David?
I mean, I think it's vitally important because, you know, we always, at this point in the stage, we're not going to win the spring season, so we need to worry about getting into the playoffs, and that's the top 4, 5 spots that we want to get to. So anytime we can take somebody out of that spot and not let them gain points as we gain points, I think that's a plus.
Well, and I think there's another meaning to it as well. It's another Florida derby that you've beat Miami, you've tied Fort Lauderdale at Fort Lauderdale, now you get to host the Rowdies here. So I think for bragging rights, I think what you said is 100% right from the big scheme of things, but you have an opportunity to be unbeaten against the Florida teams in the spring. I think that's huge.
And that includes Orlando, by the way, from the preseason, if you think about it. U.S. in Copa America, not a good performance against Colombia, but they came back, had a huge performance against Costa Rica. Now it looks like a draw or better, and they're on to the knockout round. What have you thought of the U.S. in Copa so far?
Yeah, and a draw, it's easier said than done against Paraguay, that if they win that game, they're through, and they technically, they can knock out the U.S. too. And I think the loss to Colombia, it wasn't great performance, but you're playing, Colombia right now is one of the premier teams in the world. So it's not like you're playing, who's Colombia? No, they're a big-time team. And Klinsmann, I think, showed again and again that he doesn't care what we think. Because with all the critics on that performance, he went back and put the same exact team on the lineup. So, he's going to do what he's going to do, and he worked.
Yeah, in Colombia, like you said, it's a premier team. Right. They're good. I expected them to lose, but to go out and crush Costa Rica was a great
with the same guys.
With the same guys. So we know they can do it. So all we have to do is take care of Paraguay.
And then maybe Brazil as the next round matchup as far as the knockout. The Orlando City match coming up on Wednesday, U.S. Open Cup. David, is this the most important match in Armada history?
I think so. Yes and no. For me, I look at the big picture. I look at, how we're doing in the teams, in the league. We're not consistent in the league, so we might squeak through, and I think we can beat them. But even if we beat them, we're just not consistent enough to go further. So for me, yes and no.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to be better today than you were yesterday, right? And I think getting to where we are in the U.S. Open Cup was already better than last year. So every stage of the U.S. Open Cup, if you take that aside as 2 different tournaments, yes, that's the most important up to this stage in the U.S. Open Cup, which is a big tournament, and the franchise has made an importance into it. So if you say U.S. Open Cup alone, it's the biggest game that they've ever played.
By the way, an official at U.S. Soccer told me this week he thought this was the premier matchup in this round of the U.S. Open Cup, so something to keep an eye on.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on it, for sure.
Absolutely.
David Hayes, Mauricio Ruiz, thanks so much. Coming up, a closer look at Saturday's opponent, the cross-state rival Tampa Bay Rowdies. Stick around, more Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
The Tampa Bay Rowdies come to town Saturday for the final match of the spring season, and the Rowdies still have a chance to win the spring season championship if they beat the Armada and close a 5-goal differential gap with the New York Cosmos. Tampa Bay is led by former Chelsea star Joe Cole and reigning NASL Player of the Week Georgi Hristov, who has scored in 3 straight matches overall, including U.S. Open Cup play. In a stroke of scheduling symmetry, the Armada will travel to Tampa Bay to open the fall season on July 2nd.
All right, well, here we go. Final spring season match. Again, Saturday, presented by PDQ, and it is Teacher Appreciation Day. Pre-match street party as well beforehand, and afterwards, it's the U.S. men's national team watch party as the Armada will celebrate the U.S. and Paraguay. You can watch it on the big screen right there at Community First Park. 4 o'clock for kickoff. Our coverage begins at 3:30 here on CW17. Remember, you can get the very latest on the Armada online at armadafc.com and on radio, Sports Radio 930. We've got the Armada Coaches Show featuring Tony Meola Mondays at 6 and the Armada Soccer Show Wednesdays at 6. Our coverage of the Armada and Rowdies begins 3:30 Saturday afternoon with 4 o'clock kickoff and that watch party for the U.S. against Paraguay to follow. We'll leave you with some of the teachers that the Armada will be honoring with Teacher Appreciation Day on Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm Cole Pepper.